Welcome, Rebels, to another video where we talk tactically about Star Wars Destiny. I'm your host, Gray, and today we're going to talk about the new Legacy of the Force article up on Fantasy Flight Games' site right now, which spoils a bunch of new cards for the upcoming Legacy set. I told you in my last video, they don't want us to forget about them, and here we are just one day later, getting some big news on the game. At least they made us wait a little while this time. And the cards we got look awesome. Anyone that plays blue now is super excited, I'm sure about that. The heroes look great, the villains look pretty good, and the events are quite a testament to the direction that this color might be going in with the new set, and of course, the new block. So after just a little more ado, let's check them out. So first up, let's talk about blue heroes. Ayla Secura was a Clone Wars era Jedi General, and she doesn't get a lot of screen time in the Clone Wars cartoon as I recall, but she's definitely a commanding presence type of character when she's on screen. And what's great about her is her point cost and her health. She's continuing the trend of health moving in an upwards direction, which is always a good thing because it helps extend the game. And her 9/12 point cost is exactly what blue hero needs more of, which is options for Qui-Gon. You know, let's face it, guys, all right? At this point, every blue hero deck is Qui-Gon and someone else. He's the best designed blue hero, and until he cycles out, he's going to continue to be part of the conversation. So what does she bring to Qui-Gon is what really the question here is, right? Well, she can flip his dice to shields with her special, or if you've got some force power, she can flip specials for that. I mean, it's only a 1 in 6 chance, but, you know, it's something. Furthermore, she's got a 1 melee and a 2 melee side for guard plays if that matters for you, or just straight up doing damage. She can destiny out small stuff with her 2 melee as thing as well. Her indirect damage side is kind of an odd inclusion in my opinion, but it's more damage. I guess I'm okay with that. All around, decent card. Probably doesn't see play over Kanan if she existed right now. But she still looks pretty good at her point cost. Maybe there's something that we haven't seen or that I'm not seeing. Obviously, we've only had these cards for a few hours, so I'm kind of giving you like my first impressions on thing. But she just looks kind of mediocre to me. Next up is a card that does not look mediocre at all, okay, and it's Yoda. Let me begin by saying that Yoda's die is likely to be the most valuable die in the game. Aside from the disrupt side here, you can probably find a way to fit him in a lot of decks, and you want to resolve all of these sides. And at 10-13, he's amazing. Obviously, everyone's going to be gushing over the fact that he has no blanks, so you're always going to get value out of him no matter what you roll, pretty much. But the real cherry on top is that special, which he has 2 of, and it makes him a fantastic 5-tool character, if you know what I'm saying. And it lets you choose to do 2 of the following. Gain a resource, give a character a shield, turn one of your dice to any side, essentially that means focus, or discard the top card of any deck. So at 2 dice, Yoda can do 4 things with double special, and you can chain specials for days with his special too, because it had focus, right? He is such a strong character right now that if he existed, I could easily see him being run with Qui-Gon as well at Elite, but maybe he's also got a spot in a mill deck. It looks like he could be a little bit better than Padme in that spot. Obviously, you can't put a second chance on him, but you could do something like Riken, Yoda, Maz. Maybe that might work. However, maybe there's a better yellow character, so you can keep that deck in a rainbow format for, maybe this yellow character is like 8 points. Or maybe it's just 2 colors with a really strong plot that works well. So we're going to see how things go when we get the whole set finally. But right now, Yoda is positioned as a major chase card, and I am definitely going to be running in that race. Next up, let's take a look at the 4 hero exclusive cards that we got in this article. And the first one is Adapt. Finally, Hero Blue is going to be able to do more with its shields than just block or wait for a repost card to come up in the deck. Adapt is the card that Blue Hero would be running right now to make stuff happen. This is one of those cards that you should be looking at, and you should see the potential right away. And the reason for that is because it allows you to see shields as a different sort of resource, and it's literally each shield can be a resource for 0 cost. And if you can find a way to cycle this through for free, that would be really cool too. And what it's doing is expanding the game usage of shields in a way that's favorable to you with no downside. And the only thing that can make this card better, honestly, is Ambush. And I wish it had it, but it doesn't. But still, it's a resource for a shield. And with all the ways that you can make shields for 0 cost in this game, including character dice in Blue Hero, it's going to give you money. It's going to be a positive play. It's kind of like, I don't know, Blue Hero's version of Prepare for War, but better, or Truce, but not quite as fancy. And the second card we saw was Ataru Strike. Here we are again, taking a deeper look at shields. And obviously, people are going to be talking about the interactions between this and Obi-Wan's lightsaber special. Yes, that is really, really amazing. Ataru Strike is, obviously, it's beast mode for Qui-Gon and company once again. It's almost like Blue Heroes finally getting a properly themed No Mercy for itself, right? And what makes this card so damn good is that it doesn't strip your shields like Riposte to do the extra damage. It just lets you resolve 1 blue character die with melee and add a number of shields that you have on it to its value. So Qui-Gon could swing in for 5 damage with 3 shields and his 2 melee side, which would be the max, normally. If they didn't also add in defensive teaching, which is, to me, it's a little bit bonkers. I made a joke on the Galactic Senate podcast like a month ago where I said, villains should only get to put 2 shields on their characters because they're villains. But I like this idea just about as much. Defensive teaching is a passive support that lets all your blue characters have an additional shield. So this makes Ataru Strike potentially better. It makes Riposte potentially better. It makes Obi-Wan's lightsaber special potentially better. It makes Yoda better. It makes Qui-Gon better. I could go on for days about the cards that this card makes better, but we don't know yet if it's going to be high enough impact that you're going to want to, put it into your deck, because you kind of start to wonder, how am I going to fit all these cards into my deck when there's so many cards competing for spots? But if we take it and looking at it from a block format, we might say, well, this is going to be good in sort of the all cards format. I think that's the infinite format. In the new block format, obviously it's only going to interact with Obi-Wan's lightsaber. So we're starting to see the game in a number of different ways now with that new block announcement that came out. And there's one more card to talk about here, and it's Force Meditation. So this is, obviously last, but definitely not least, because it's a new Force power. And this card doesn't really need any explanation. It's Padme on a stick at you for no resource cost. And it's got a 1 focus, a 1 shield, a 1 resource, and 2 special sides. Now, I know that people don't think about stuff like Outpost, but I think that its value just went up in my book. If I had my hands on this card right now, it would be in my hero deck. No questions asked. It would just be there. It's also to play spot a blue character, so I don't need to play it on a blue character necessarily. I could play it on Padme. I could play it on General Regan if I really wanted to. The only thing I don't like about it is I wish it had a discard side somewhere, but otherwise, I think it's a very good card because it's special. It says discard the top 2 cards from a deck. Okay, and you've got a 33% chance to do that every single round. Well, Padme has the same chance, and you do that, right? And this is going to cost you 2 resources, and Padme's ability for 2 costs you 1 resource. So there's something there, but this with Yoda chaining specials or 2-player game Poe Dameron, or the return of maybe Datapad or throwing Emperor's Throne Rooms in your deck, all make this card seem better to me. And I think this is just a very good card. And if Blue Hero gets any more help in the mill area in this set, then you're going to be seeing a lot more of it. I guarantee that. Time to talk about the villains. All right, first up, we've got Maul, and he is back, boys and girls. Truly, Darth Maul is a fan favorite. People have been wanting Maul in the Discords that I'm in. They talk about him all the time like he's some kind of god. I don't really get it. I'm actually on Season 5 of Clone Wars right now, and it's sort of in the middle of that whole Maul storyline thing. It's very interesting, but I would like to see if people are going to be satisfied with this particular card. He's a legendary first off. He's got 11 hit points, 12/16 point cost. Okay, so far kind of good. His die sides are 2 melee, 3 melee for $1, 1 disrupt, 1 discard, 1 resource, and a blank. His ability is after one or more of your character's character or upgrade dice are removed, this character's character upgrade dice are removed by an opponent's card effect, you may remove one of their dice. So Maul doesn't fight fair. I mean, should he though? I mean, he had spider legs at one point. That really sucks. The first point here is how good his point cost is, or maybe might be, depending on what else we get, right? You know, he's settling into a spot that villains, they don't mind, although they would rather have it at 10, 13. That's really where they're more concerned right now with FN being thrown out of things, Unkar being thrown out of things. But his die protection ability, I think, gives him some value, even at just a non-elite 1 die. Sadly, he has to pay for his 3x, 3 melee side. Because of that, I don't think he sees a lot of play. He's only got 2 damage sides, and 1 you got to pay for, and that's kind of like, eh. The rest of his die, it's not that great. It's kind of one of those catch-all villain die, discard, disrupt, resource. I don't know. But maybe there's more to him than meets the eye. Maybe you find him in like a good and interesting control response deck. I don't know. I feel like he might be overcosted for that particular deck, but I don't know. There's still a lot of cards to see here. But the second card is a little more exciting, and it's looking quite good for only being a rare. So I guess he's kind of like the alternate to Obi-Wan in this set, because Obi's also rare. And Palpatine is 12 hit points. Awesome. 1620 point cost with a power action that lets you play an event from your hand, decreasing its cost by the number of different damage symbols showing on your dice. So by himself, he can potentially discount an event by 2. So a rise again for 3 sounds pretty good. They mentioned that in the article. As a result, though, his die is all over the place. He's got 2 range, 2 melee, 2 indirect. What else has he got on there? He's got and 2 1 resource sides, right? So Senator Palpatine's making you cash, apparently. But is it worth it for 20 points at Elite? You know, because obviously when you get into the 16-20 range, 16-21, you know, 22, whatever, that's your main character at this point in the deck, okay, guys? It's not your support character. He is literally more than half your points. So what you're talking about is a leftover is a 10-point support character, or maybe an 8 or 9 with a 1 or 2 point plot, right? Again, it's hard to know without seeing everything that we're working with. But in today's game, as it stands with Empire War, this particular block, he probably wouldn't see much play, if I had to guess, right? We don't really play the old Palpatine. Mace Windu sees some play, but Palpatine doesn't have the kind of partner that that Mace Windu has in Padawan. He would get a Royal Guard or some other 10-point, you know, character. His damage too is also really unfocused, and his power action, it's something that you'd rather see on a much cheaper character, like a support character, like a 9-12 or a 10-13 or a 12-16, right? I don't know that I want to spend 16 points for that power action. I'm definitely not spending it at 20. So unless he's got a great pairing, I don't really even see him getting any play. All right, so last section here, and we're going to talk about 3 villain cards that accompanied our Sith friends that we just looked at. And the first one is Double Strike. Double Strike is a very nice card, although at 2 cost, I feel like you're gonna want to make absolutely sure that you're either closing the game out with this card, or you're maximizing a 3 melee side. And it reads, this is what the card text says: resolve one of your dice showing melee damage without removing it from your pool. Now it can be any melee side, any colored die, which is probably the reason for it being unnecessarily high cost, in my opinion. If it was blue melee die, it might be only 1. Who knows? It's essentially blue hero villains, my allies the Force, and it kind of sucks unless you're rolling in money. However, Palpatine can reduce it to free, potentially, depending on what his dice look like. And, you know, maybe you like that, maybe you don't. 2 costs for an event is really pushing the upper limit, though, for stuff like this that only affects 1 die. It really only gets you maybe 2, maybe 3 extra damage. And, you know, it's just expensive, especially in blue villain. So choose wisely if you're going to be taking this thing with you, regardless of what other cards are in the set, in my opinion. Next up is Maul's lightsaber. All right, so Maul and his lightsaber are both legendary. Nice. I mean, this lightsaber should be legendary, I guess, since it only costs 3, and its damage potential is through the friggin' roof. Its die sides are 2 melee, which can be resolved by itself, thankfully. Then +2 melee, +3 melee, +4 melee, resource, blank. So it's unlikely it's going to deal damage on its own. So that's its first problem. But Villain has plenty of strong characters with 2 to 3 melee black sides. Darth Vader, either one you want to play, probably loves this lightsaber for 3 costs. You're talking 10 max damage from either of those characters. In one case, you're paying $2 for that, which is 10. Are you going to pay 2 resources for 10 damage in Destiny? No matter what characters you're playing, what deck you're playing, what day of the week it is, what time it is, how you're feeling, you're going to say, yes, I'm going to play 2 resources for 10 damage. And the power action here is if an opponent has no shields on all of their characters, you can roll this die into the pool. So the timing could be really tough on this one. It can be played around a little bit, but getting this die twice in a round, that's no laughing matter. It can swing a game very easily, especially when you consider things like Force Strike existing and Blue Hero picking up some additional focus sides in Empire at War with like Secret Droids, and also stuff like As You Command, which can resolve another dies if it's showing a focus. So I think this is very, very, very strong. The last card to look at is Snare, and Snare is also a very, very high cost event at 3, but what it's letting you do is really quite interesting and quite powerful. So again, this is a card you definitely want to have discounted for you with Palpatine, and since he's already exhausted to give you the discount, you might pay 1 to eliminate a character from the round entirely. Personally, this card is a control decks wet dream easily. Even though it is expensive, this card is crushing. It's like the tension center level crushing, and that's a great card. So you can actually play these together. And I will say this, hero players should be worried about this card actually seeing play, because if it becomes easy to pay for or it starts to see a lot of play, it's going to change the way that we play Destiny. Suddenly we're going to be thinking a lot more about where we place our upgrades, our turn sequence, things like that. And we should all already be aware of those things, but if and when a card like this becomes ubiquitous and warps the meta, that's when the real kids come to play, and all of our skills will be called to their attention to respond to it. Okay, that's it, Rebels. I hope you liked this video. I think there's been a huge explosion of videos covering this particular article today, and I thought to myself, as I'm seeing all these notifications pop up from YouTube and Discord and everywhere else, I'm thinking, well, I have the day off, so why not, right? Let's go make a video. My wife was cool with it, and I was like, all right, well, here you are now. So what did you think of them? I would like it if you guys could leave your thoughts in the comments below, and if you'd like, we can have a conversation about that while we're waiting for my next video to come out, which you should be keeping your eye on the channel for over the weekend, but also Monday and Tuesday as well, because I'm going to be playing my games against 3-man meta against Leighton this Sunday, hopefully, for round 2 of the Content Creator Showdown. So that's going to be 3 to 5 games. I've got a couple of new decks that I brewed up, and I'm going to be bringing to that day as well. And of course, I want to get out part 2 of the Psychology of Destiny video that I just put up last night. So if you haven't seen that one, check it out. It's already got about 100 views in just a few hours. So it seems pretty popular. And it's hoping to assist you to look at Destiny in a different kind of way. And the next video is hopefully going to drive that point home even more. So I really hope you like this one. And thanks for stopping by, guys. Tell your friends, drop a sub, all that kind of stuff. So I will see you on the next one. And until then, don't mouth kiss your sister. Always trust your droid companions. And may the Force be with you.